Good afternoon. I am Adebare Ejimagide, the Midday News. The airlift of students and other Nigerians stranded in war-torn Sudan have commenced. The Nigeria in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, said it had mobilized buses to Khartoum, the Sudanese capital, to evacuate the students and other Nigerians to the Egyptian border, from where they are being airlifted back home. Recall that the Director of Special Duties of Nigerian Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Dr. Onimode Bandele, has said that the evacuation of over 2,000 of the students would commence. Reports say 3 wide-bodied Boeing 777 aircraft have been deployed to Cairo for the airlift. Meanwhile, the federal government said it has spent $1.2 million to deploy 40 buses for the evacuation of about 2,400 stranded Nigerians out of Sudan. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Geoffrey Onyema, discussed this while speaking with newsmen at the end of the Federal Executive Council FEC meeting, presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja. He said the amount for the evacuation included the provision of security cover for the 8-hour journey from Luxor to Cairo and the 11th-hour trip from Aswan to Cairo, Egypt. The minister said the outcome of the proceedings at the council meeting was overshadowed by plans of the federal government to safely evacuate its citizens from the war-torn Sudan. Oyama, who noted that no Nigerian life had been lost to the conflict, said there are no talks about alternative plans for continued education for the evacuees, most of whom are students of the University of Khartoum. The World Health Organization has launched a new initiative to help strengthen countries' ability to plan for and deal with another deadly pandemic like COVID-19. WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus said at a press briefing that the agency will launch its 4th strategic preparedness and response plan next week, adding that the latest figures showed a huge fall in COVID deaths this year. The update outlines how countries can transit from an emergency response to long-term sustained management of COVID-19 over a 2-year period. The guidance provides a joint-up approach for responding to the threat or arrival of any respiratory pathogen such as flu or the range of coronavirus that has the ability to rapidly mutate into different variants. According to WHO, the new Preparedness and Resilience for Emerging Threats initiative incorporates the latest tools and approaches for shared learning and collective action established during the COVID-19 pandemic and other recent public health emergencies. Ghebreyesus cautioned that over 14,000 people lost their lives to COVID in the past 4 weeks, affecting economies, education, trade, travel, food supply systems, and more. Governor Ademola Adeleke has commended the Jennifer Etu Foundation for building a multi-million naira hospital and skills acquisition centers in Osun State for the benefit of the less privileged in the society. The governor gave the commendation at Ifewara during the commissioning of the hospital and skill acquisition center. Governor's office correspondent Abrohim Adekilekun now reports.
In his address at the commissioning of medical and skill acquisition centers in Ifewara, Takumosa East local government, Governor of Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke, lauded the Etus for the positive impact on lives of others they committed themselves to doing, thanked them for bringing the hospital to Ifewara in Osun State, saying it is good to make life-impacting changes in the lives of the people. Senator Adeleke reiterated his resolve to pay the backlog of salary arrears of civil servants, the free medical surgical operations for about 25,000 residents of the state, among other programs, to his commitment to rule with the fear of God, and thanked the Etus for bringing the multi-billion naira hospital to the state.
I have the fear of God. That is why I paid all the backlog salary that they are owing the poor civil servant, the poor pensioner, even the one they contributed, they didn't pay them. I spread it It's not a magic. You just have to have the fear of God and do what is right for your people. As I'm speaking to you today, about 25,000 have benefited from this program. A lot of people will have died because of this. They don't have money to treat themselves. So it's going like that and it's still going. More are still coming. It's the road that we want to talk about. And they ain't seen nothing yet.
High points of the event include praise and worship, admonitions, goodwill messages and ministration by the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye. Pastor Adeboye, who described the day as a day of joy, congratulated the governor for his steadfast resolve to rule with the fear of God. Praying for the Etu's family, Pastor Adeboye said God will reward everybody for whatever they sow.
My son, the governor, I pray that the Almighty God will continue to be with you. He will continue to support you. And as long as you keep on fearing Him, He will just keep on promoting you.
Earlier in his speech, Mr. Thomas Etu said the hospital, which is the third in memory of his late wife, Jennifer Etu, was in fulfillment of her instructions to use her investments for establishment of medical centers to cater for the medical needs of the less privileged. It has been Abdurrahim Adekileku reporting.
Chairman of National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Alhaji Zikrullah Hassan, has given tomorrow as deadline for this year's Hajj fare remittance by boards, agencies and commissions of state Muslim pilgrims welfare managers. Hassan announced this after a marathon meeting with chief executives of state pilgrims welfare boards, agencies and commissions at the NACON's Hajj House, Abuja. The meeting was to address critical issues hinging on remittances of Hajj fare by pilgrims in order to finalize the number of eligible enrollees for this year's Hajj. The commission said the number of registered pilgrims would dictate figures with which to sign agreement with airlines. The NACON board said that all other arrangements depend on the confirmed number of Hajj fare payers before conclusion. And now to sports story. The Nigerian Football Federation has dispatched letters of invitation to 12 foreign-based players to join the Flying Eagles in Abuja ahead of the 2023 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Argentina. Flying Eagles coach Ladan Boso has released the list of 39 players invited for the Viva Age Grade competition, which consists of many players that participated at the just concluded CAF Under-20 African Nations Cup in Egypt, where Nigeria finished third. The NFF has given an ultimatum of May 1st to all foreign-based players invited to join the training camp in Abuja, which opens tomorrow. The players will be closely monitored by the Flying Eagles coaches in the coming days. The 2023 FIFA World Cup will be hosted by Argentina and will commence on 28 May to 11 June. Nigeria are the same group with Brazil, Italy, and Dominica. And now to foreign stories. Fighting is continuing in parts of Sudan despite a 72-hour ceasefire largely holding. According to reports, people are struggling to access food and money, fuel, and medical care. It was gathered that Sudan's Army Chief General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan has reportedly approved the extension of the ceasefire due to expire tomorrow for 72 hours. General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan gave initial approval to the proposal from the Regional African Bloc Intergovernmental Authority on Development. The proposal suggested sending envoys from the Sudanese army and rival groups' rapid support forces to Juba in South Sudan to discuss the details. Meanwhile, both sides still man checkpoints, but they are fewer in number as some troops have withdrawn to other areas. The US and South Korea have secured a landmark deal to counter the North Korean nuclear threat. Washington has agreed to periodically deploy US nuclear-armed submarines to South Korea and involve Seoul in its nuclear planning operations. In return, South Korea has agreed to not develop its own nuclear weapons. The South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol, who was at the White House for a state visit, said the Washington Declaration marked an unprecedented commitment by the U.S. to enhance defense, deter attacks, and protect U.S. allies by using nuclear weapons. U.S. President Joe Biden said the Washington Declaration will strengthen the allies' cooperation in deterring a North Korea attack, while concern has been rising on both sides about the nuclear threat posed by North Korea. That ends the midday news on Osbc TV. It was edited by Babatunde Bolatito. Do join us at 3 for the state news. Good afternoon.